Good evening, everyone. We are so grateful to have you all here for such a special evening. Although Senator Markey doesn't need an introduction, I have to say that Ed, as we all know, is a true leader and champion in the Senate. Ed is a leader on telecommunications, policy, consumer protection, and privacy. Whether issue is climate change, clean energy, or just safeguarding privacy, Ed stands up for the priorities and values of Massachusetts and all Americans. Ed, I know I speak for everyone on this call. We're so proud of you, of all your accomplishments. You truly make the world a better place. Senator, the floor, or should I say, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Valerie, so much. Thanks for all your great work in organizing tonight, along with Samantha. Thank you. And thanks to everybody who is joining us for this very, very special night. And it'll be memorable. It's something that just fits in perfectly to this political season and the holiday season that we're in. And my special thanks to my friend Josh Groban for joining me tonight. And we're going to hear some phenomenal music, but also talk about how to hopefully make this a healthier, safer, cleaner, more peaceful world for everyone. And Josh and I are going to have a little conversation, but I can't thank him enough for his willingness to share his extraordinary musical gifts, and also to thank him for all the work he does in promoting the arts and many other issues of importance to all of us. He possesses one of the greatest voices that God has ever gifted anyone with. And it's a voice that has been nominated for Grammys, Tonys, Emmys. He's a singer, he's a songwriter. He's entertained across the globe. He's sold more than 35 million albums worldwide, and electrified audiences in our country and countries all around the world. And more than that, he's also started a foundation, the Find Your Light Foundation, to enrich the lives of young people through the arts and education and cultural awareness. Just an incredible leader, an incredible person. And Josh, it's so great to see you. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Is that going to come out of the computer or the mic? Can you hear me okay?
I hear you now perfectly, yeah.
Are you hearing me through the mic, or are you hearing me through the computer? Through the mic? Okay, you got me? Sorry, we've been sound checking for a minute. Can you hear me, Senator?
I hear you perfectly.
All right. Thank you so very much for that incredible introduction. Oh, good, I'm seeing messages saying they can hear me now. So, boy, you'd think that we've been doing this for, how long have we been doing these virtual? This is, but it's always great to see your face, Senator, and thank you for those absolutely way too kind words. It is always a privilege to be with you. It's a privilege to support you and your vision and your message, and the incredible and important work that you do. And to be able to do it with a conversation and to sing a little bit here at this wonderful studio here in New York City is a thrill for me. So right back at you. I am one of your biggest fans and wouldn't miss this for the world.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And we have just so many issues that are troubling our country and troubling the world right now. The global pandemic that just keeps like a boomerang coming back and hitting us, and it's absolutely necessary, obviously, that we not only think about the United States, but we think about a program for the next year to vaccinate at least 70% of the whole world, or else this will just keep happening over and over again. And I'm the co-chair of the caucus that's working hard to make sure that the White House puts up the funding that needs the rest of the world, so we ensure that we take care of everyone. The same thing is true for the climate crisis, that we do the right thing for the whole planet before those who are most vulnerable are harmed. And that, we just passed an infrastructure bill so that we can actually build real bridges, between that are crumbling across the country, roads, broadband, so that everyone is connected, everyone has what they need in order to fully survive and thrive in the United States. That's a big challenge for the United States Senate, but for our country. And so in each and every instance, it's absolutely necessary that we do everything that, as the leader of the world, the United States is expected to do. We're the economic, military, but moral leader of the world as all of these problems, beset us. So can you just talk a little bit about your Find Your Light Foundation and
Sure.
how you use that in order to reach out to young people?
Absolutely. And, all of those initiatives and all of those things we should be looking so much closer at that you mentioned and that you've supported recently, and in fact throughout your entire illustrious career. I mean, these are what I love about you do is you see the long game. And I think sometimes in your position, it's very hard to convince people to see beyond what's right in front of them. We're trying to invest. We're trying to invest in our infrastructure, trying to invest in the health of the planet for future generations, and through the art as well, trying to invest in the future by giving them a voice, especially right now during, as you mentioned, these incredibly trying and confusing times for young people. It's always been important to give young people a voice that they never thought they could have. I was that kid. I was a kid who had a really hard time finding my identity in school. And it was a teacher that pulled me out and gave me that confidence. I went into it professionally, but what I've seen over the course of our time with Find Your Light is that even just giving them the chance to express themselves sometimes turns on that light switch that allows them to decide, oh, I can be a natural leader, or I have a voice, or I have a way I can express myself that I didn't already know. And then they might go into law or dentistry or politics or whatever else, but they had that foundation of feeling like they were fully themselves. And so there are lots of ways to bridge those things. The initiatives you're talking about and art, certainly. And would go nicely into a song, don't you think, Senator?
Well, we do have a lot of trouble. So yeah, what song do you think
we do have a lot of trouble, don't we? I'm really trying not to watch the news. For anybody joining us, I really hope this is the only thing you've watched on a screen today, because we will delight you. And the news is really just very hard to watch these days. But I would be delighted to sing a song if you would like. I kind of set it up.
Yeah, I will say this, Josh, that I just was in a super secret briefing last night about the Russian troops that are building on the border of the Ukraine.
You're of course going to tell us now the details of the super secret meeting, right?
Well, it's kind of one of those death unto you if you repeat a word.
Got it. Okay.
Which you hear, except what you see on the news is absolutely it's correct. Terrifying. I mean, the Russians are actually contemplating, invading Ukraine and taking away their independence. So, we have so many things that are happening both domestically and internationally that we have to be the United States of America. We have to be the leader, and we have to be the bridge.
Yeah.
For the whole world.
Absolutely. And diplomacy is such an important thing. We talk about, how we can do that, how we can communicate and find those universal languages. One of the incredible things for me, Senator, is that when I travel around the world, whether it's going to Europe or going to South Africa or going to Russia or wherever it is, and I land in a country that I've only seen on the news or I've only experienced through, learning a language or something else, and I'm intimidated, audiences react all the exact same way. And that's the incredible thing is no matter what is going on politically, music has a way of reminding each other of our common humanity and of the things that we have in common. That's a really, really fun thing. And so I would be happy to sing this first song for you.
If you would, that'd be great.
This is I'm going to do a couple of Paul Simon songs today, just because. And we were talking about what songs to do, and it just happens. He just happens to have written some of the most incredible lyrics that represent what we're talking about of all time. So we'll start with this one. You guys probably all know it. When you're weary, you're feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side. Times get rough, and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. Darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl. Won't you sail on by? Your time has come to shine, and all your dreams are on the way. See how they shine, and if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind.
Oh, just so beautiful.
Thank you so much.
When I was in the sixth grade, when I was 11, Josh, it came time for the sixth grade of the Immaculate Conception Grammar School the 60 boys, six
Oh, yeah.
rows of 10 boys, to be the ones this year who would go and sing for the Cardinal at the cathedral.
Okay.
And this was very big for Sister Francita because it only happened like once every 10 years for each grammar school.
Yeah.
And so we were going to sing a song in Latin, Tantum ergo sacramentum, Vene remo cernui, et antiquum quoque. So Sister put all 60 of us along the wall.
I'm getting chills,
She
Senator.
went around to listen
yeah.
to each one of us. And she said to Mr. Terrence Hanley, please sit down, Mr. Hanley. And to Al White, please sit down, Mr. White.
Yeah. Okay.
And to me,
yep.
Mr. Markey, please sit down. And then 1 week later, when the bus came, the three of us were left in our classroom with the door open.
Oh.
So that the sister who had the 60 girls could look in on the three of us.
Wow.
So you can imagine how traumatic that was for me, and there was no, find your light foundation for me, and so ever since then.
Well, wait, I'm confused. Were you left there because you were, yeah.
My voice just didn't quite, whatever point in time at age 11 I was not in synchronicity with what Sister's expectations were for the Cardinal to hear in the cathedral, all these 11-year-old boys.
That's not where I thought this was going to go, Senator. I thought you were going to say that they had you three sit down because you were the chosen three to exalt
just
the good Cardinal with your...
And
so, no. Well, yeah, I tell you what, whatever you've done from then to now, you've made up for it because we sang for those who were with us.
My obsession with music began that day. Yeah. In my dream that one day I could actually sing, to like a Josh Groban, Tantum ergo sacramentum, Vene remo cernui. And so I've got my dream.
I don't know that. I don't know that one. I don't know that song, Senator, but we sang a little duet. We sang a little bit with each other. If anybody who was on our last of our live streams, we're going to have to hit the road, Ed, because I feel like we are our voices are very, very good with each other. Can we sing? If I set you up, come, they told me, rumpa-bum-bum. Our finest gifts we bring. Rumpa-bum-bum. Oh, that's very good. That's good. We don't want to give them too much because then they'll,
I told Josh that when I missed the winning shot against Keith Academy when I was a senior, and now we're on the bus and we're on the way back down to Malden from Lowell.
Yep.
And Paul Rump had already
I know this story.
Had a rebound that went off his foot and out of bounds. We lost by 1 point, and I was also key and missing the key shot. The cheerleaders in the front of the bus, they started to sing da 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 da. But the boys on the basketball team, they were less oriented towards the sacred, so they started to sing da 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 da. Rump is a bum, rump is a bum, rump is a bum, rump is a bum. Paul Rump, off of whose foot it went, and so. For me, I was nervous for an hour on that bus, thinking there must be a song for me too that these other basketball players are going to think about. But so
Markey. We can write one tonight.
So the country is really at this point feeling a lot of pressures. Democracy is in the balance. Republican state legislatures are just stripping voting protections off of the books. And it's clearly with the intention of making it less easy for Black and brown and poor Americans to be able to vote. And then
Absolutely.
when that fundamental right is compromised, that then affects every other issue
Yes.
that we're talking about, because, you know, the founding principle of our country is everyone is equal, regardless of country or creed or conviction, that everyone is equal. And we're actually in a very difficult time because we're being stressed by forces, unfortunately, in a lot of ways, unleashed by the communications revolution, given a voice, given an ability to organize that we've never really seen. And the problem is that it undermines our ability to actually provide for the child care, provide for the free pre-K for 3 and 4 year olds, the food security, the health care for everyone in our society. And we're struggling right now to get to a point where we can pass out a comprehensive bill that deals with all those issues over the next 2 weeks. We'll be voting on it. We'll be voting on it.
Well, that's good. I was going to ask, because I was actually talking to my parents about this right before I came onto this live stream. And, you know, you watch the news about this very thing, about the gerrymandering and how all the sinister, you know, clever ways that are going on, other than obviously to vote for someone like yourself and make sure we are represented by people who will help this. What can we do? Because we sit back and we feel so helpless watching these kinds of things happen. How can we better engage to fight that?
Well, you know, we're going to reach a point where the Congress, the Senate, has to repeal the filibuster, because right now it takes 60 votes in order to pass laws that would protect voting rights across the whole country.
Sure.
And the business plan of the Republican Party is to actually suppress votes so that they can have a majority, make sure that millions of people do not vote. Yeah. And so we're going to reach a point, and I think it will occur before the end of December of 2021, where we have to decide to repeal the filibuster, if not for every issue, at least for one issue, the key issue, the ability for everyone to be able to vote and to not have their vote artificially, you know, stripped away. Raphael Warnock, who is the new senator from Georgia, who actually preaches in Martin Luther King Jr.'s church, Ebenezer Church down in Atlanta. He said that what is frightening the Republican Party is the 85-year-old Black woman who sat in a wheelchair for 6 hours on January 5th of this year in order to vote. And they're terrified of her because they know how much she believes in democracy. And they are now passing laws in Georgia that makes it illegal to even give her a bottle of water while she's waiting, you know, to do anything that makes it easier for her to vote. And that's just one example of many, many all across the country that are occurring in America, in the United States of America today, which is just the opposite, I think, of what we all envision when we're children, what we hope to see as a future for everyone. So it's a troubled time.
Can you compare it to anything in your long career in politics? When you get up now in the morning, this must feel like a call to action these days more than ever before, or do you feel like this is history repeating itself in certain ways? I mean, what do you? We're watching it. We're on the sidelines. But for somebody who's in the arena every single day, trying to, I was, you know, lucky enough to be a guest of yours at the Capitol building, and I, you know, to watch just how separate it feels. You know, between those aisles, it feels like there are miles between you. How can things get done?
Yeah, well, it's again, you are right. First of all the Democratic senators wear masks on the Senate
noticed
floor.
that.
None of the Republican senators, none of their staff.
It was the
wear
masked
masks.
side versus the entirely unmasked side.
or the science side versus the non-science side, because the same thing is true for climate change.
And McConnell had a cough that day.
It's an amazing world that we're living in right now. And, Lyndon Johnson, when he was president in 1964 and signing the Voting Rights Act, famously said that now we have lost the South to the Democrats for a generation by passing this voting rights bill, these civil rights bills back then, because there would be a boomerang effect down there with people rising up to kind of work to strip rights. Well, what's happened now is that when we have an African American who wins in Georgia, and we have John Ossoff who wins in Georgia, it's terrifying them, that they now have to actually go back to state legislatures and to pass ever more restrictive laws, which then undermine our ability to ensure that there is full access for every person, every family, to all of God's great gifts that our country can provide. So it's an amazing time right now, and it really just it goes to who we are as Americans.
Yeah.
What is our country?
What kind of
going
America
to
do we want to be?
Yeah. So that's the question. What kind of country do we want to be, Josh? You're right.
And the opinion on that is depending on which channel you watch and which Facebook page you go to. It is up is down and down is up. It's a very polarized time. I remember there's a great documentary that talked about the arguments that Gore Vidal and William F. Buckley used to have back in the day. And everybody watched them on the same channel, and they disagreed, but they disagreed politely. And everybody could, one side might have their opinion and the other side might have their opinion, but they're all watching them on the same screen. And now there is such an echo chamber that it seems like to have that dialogue, to have that conversation, it seems like such an impossibility. And so all we do, we think about how we can possibly change things, but it's very difficult.
Yeah, and that's the problem, that people can select their version
Correct. Yeah.
of America.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for too many people, that's an America without Muslims, without blacks, without equality for everyone, without immigrants coming into our country, without an opportunity for every person to think that they get the full protection of the United States Constitution.
That's the not so subtle dog whistle that's happening. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. So, up in the chamber, in the Senate, there's, the words that capture our country: e pluribus unum, out of many, one. And that's really what the ideal is for our country. We fought a civil war because before the Civil War, many of the southern states used to say, the United States are. And we fought a civil war so that it became the United States is, a singular. And unfortunately, today we're seeing that whole concept being frayed by people, dangerous people who are just pulling at the threads of democracy. And to a very large extent, that's why this voting rights issue is the central issue.
Important.
It's the connective issue to keep our country together, to make us America, right? To make us this one country. And I don't know if you have a song that captures that whole concept of America.
You are a wonderful segue artist, Senator. Well, I will sing this song. It is a great, fortunately and unfortunately, a great segue into this song. And Senator, keep fighting the good fight on those things. We're all behind you, and thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. And this is a song that is one that I had the great privilege of singing for Paul Simon many years ago. It's one that I've always loved of his. It kind of represents the fabric of this country and all the different lenses we are able to see it through and experience it through. And so this is called America, and I haven't played it in a while. So if I get through it in one piece, they won't be singing Grow bum bum bun is a bum bum bum. All right. Let us be lovers, we'll marry our fortunes together. I've got some real estate here in my bag. So we bought a pack of cigarettes and Mrs. Wagner pies, and we walked off to look for America. Kathy, I said as we boarded a Greyhound in Pittsburgh, Michigan seems like a dream to me now. And it took me 4 days to hitchhike from Saginaw, and I've come to look for America. Laughing on the bus, playing games with the faces. She said the man in the gabardine suit was a spy. I said, be careful, his bow tie is really a camera. Toss me a cigarette, I think there's one in my raincoat. We smoked the last one an hour ago. So I looked at the scenery. She read her magazine, and the moon rose over an open field. Oh. Kathy, I'm lost, I said, though I knew she was sleeping. I'm empty and I'm aching, and I don't know why. Counting the cars on the New Jersey Turnpike, they've all come to look for America. All come to look for America. We've all come to look for America.
Oh, just incredible, incredible, incredible. And
I don't smoke. I don't actually smoke. I don't have cigarettes in my bag, just so you know. Don't smoke, kids.
Yeah, I've never had a cigarette either. My father had 2 packs of Camels a day.
Really?
And ultimately, he died from lung cancer. So that is why I declare war on the tobacco industry.
Excellent. Good for you.
The entirety of my career. And
Absolutely.
on this whole idea that they're going to have menthol built into these new e-cigarettes. The whole thing is just to hook kids, you know? And
all the candy flavors and bubble gum, it's evil. It's really evil what they're trying to do. They know exactly, and they've always known what they were doing, and it's continuing into the new technology. But yeah.
So we
So we are for Mrs. Wagner pies, but we are against the cigarettes, even though we love the song.
And that's the one thing I learned from Susan. Susan was Assistant Surgeon General of the United States.
She was.
If somebody doesn't start smoking by age of 20, the chances of the cigarette industry convincing you to begin is pretty much zero. So they got to hook you young.
Yeah.
And it's evil, just incarnate. And
well, I was always very lucky that I have a very sensitive throat. I can sing big notes, I can sing high notes, but if I even inhale even the smallest amount of smoke, I start coughing. I've never, even when I was just trying it just to be cool, I just did one puff and I was hacking up a lung. So I was lucky for that.
And by the way, that's what they called the cigarettes when I was a kid, Cools. KOOLs, right?
Yeah, sure, of course.
And it was meant to, and they were meant to,
and Joe Camel with his sunglasses and his
you're going to be like a junior Marlboro man or something, So anyway,
Yeah.
all of this just requires eternal vigilance to battle
does.
these people.
It does.
They just find new ways of doing it. And by the way, the same thing is true for the fossil fuel industry.
Yes.
They actually hired the same PR companies that the tobacco industry hired.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. The same exact marketing firms from Madison Avenue, using the exact same strategies to make it seem like they're the friendliest, nicest, care about America companies going, and they're working in their laboratories every day to find the new science.
And they say we're proud of what we've done, and we know we have more to do. Like, you think?
No, it's unbelievable. And in this Build Back Better bill, we've got $555 billion for clean energy technologies, and the fossil fuel industry's saying, what went wrong? How did we lose the presidency, the House, and the Senate? And it'll be a 10-year tax break for wind and solar and all electric vehicles and battery storage technologies. With Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I have a civilian climate corps for $30 billion that will hire like 300,000 young people, 50% of whom will come from minority communities. I have a green bank, $30 billion green bank, which is in the bill that will make it possible. A green bank, so that low interest loans for cities, for housing authorities, for businesses to just get that incredibly low interest loan they need in order to increase the energy efficiency of their buildings, or to invest in other technologies, including community solar, small solar projects that a community in any part of the country that has any kind of land that would be able to have very cheap financing in order to do it. So there's a lot of great things that we can get done before Christmas, before we leave, and we shouldn't leave until we get it done. But it just goes to how important it is for the government, whether it's the tobacco industry or the fossil fuel industry, to ensure that we're protecting everybody.
Absolutely. It's our humanity is at stake. I mean, we can see it in the science. We can see it in the little things that we experience with the severe weather. There is no such thing as fire season anymore in Los Angeles. It's just all year is fire season. And what do you say to those that push back against the short-term change? We all know that climate change is something. Well, we don't all know, but for those of us that decide to read, the truth. We know, but what do you say to those that push back against the short term? Well, it'll cost me this, or the jobs will have to change, or those kinds of arguments in certain parts of the country, especially. What do you say to them as a convincer?
Well, the truth is that it's going to cost us trillions of dollars if we don't do it. Reduce the greenhouse gases. This is one of these stitch in time will save nine. That if we follow the science, if we believe that the planet is dangerously warming, then if we take the actions right now, then we'll reduce dramatically the amount of harm. So it's almost like saying, well, I'm 30 years old, I'm still smoking 2 packs of Camels. Why should I stop now? Well, because if you're still smoking them, in 20 more years, it'll be that much worse. And the damage which will be done is that much worse. So that's kind of the argument. And moreover, if you take the coal industry, for example, in the year 2000, just 20 years ago, coal was 50% of all electricity in our country. Now it's down to 20% of electricity in our country because we've moved technologically into different areas. So isn't it better for us to plan? Let's have a plan. And we can help the coal miners with their healthcare, with their with their job training. But we can also target West Virginia, target Kentucky, target Ohio, make sure that they get the resources in the Build Back Better bill, which allows them to make a rapid transition to the economy of the 21st century. And meanwhile, reducing the threat to their children, their grandchildren, that they will have to live with the consequences of it.
Sure.
So I think the young generation, the generation that signed up for the Green New Deal,
mm-hmm.
It doesn't really make any difference where they come from. They're all signed up. They
Sure.
all know that, that we're that our country right now, the planet's one big science experiment, mm-hmm. that is going to come back and haunt them for generations to come. Sure. So we can make sure that we invest in people, and the rest of the Build Back Better bill has childcare, free pre-K for 3 and 4 year olds, family leave. It has the kinds of projects that are going to be great for families. And in the infrastructure bill, we've got the construction jobs, millions of them, building the bridges and the roads, installing the broadband. Let's move our economy to where these new jobs are, and simultaneously be reducing the greenhouse gases. So yeah, it's an argument that I cut my fingers crossed. I think we're going to win.
Yeah.
Between now and Christmas,
and of course, there's always compromise. I mean, and we follow along with the discussions as you were having those discussions, but I'm glad to hear that you feel like there is enough in the Build Back Better plan that at least is a good start for what it is you're trying to accomplish. Yeah,
the planet is running a fever. There are no emergency rooms for planets. So we have to engage in preventative care. We have to put these programs in place. I learned a lesson. I was thinking about Christmas today, mm-hmm. and what's my favorite Christmas story? And I guess what I would say is, when I was 10, and I just kept lobbying my father. I was the oldest. I was born, and then my 2 brothers were born, the twins, 12 months later. So my mother had 3 boys in 12 months.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm the oldest.
So
I'm lobbying for my 24-inch Columbia bike. And
I love how you called it lobbying. I love how you called it lobbying.
I'm lobbying him, and I need my bike. I need this bike because you're nobody until you can. That bike, the big bike, you can go to places, you can see things that just unimaginable. How
you introduced a bill to your mother in the kitchen and said, "Look, I'm lobbying for this." Yeah, or I'm going to filibuster.
So my father comes down the stairs.
Yeah.
My brothers and I have been down there since 6 a.m. So he now comes down at 8 a.m. Christmas morning, and he looks at me, and the bicycle is there, and he's waiting for me to be just so grateful to him. 10-year-old Eddie Markey, and I look up at him, and I said, "I wanted a blue Columbia.
Oh,
this is a red Columbia." And my father said to me, "Eddie, the color's not important. This bike is going to get you to where you want to go, and That's great. Don't forget it."
Yeah.
So I always think of that in terms of legislation as well. So you're asking me,
I love that.
Is enough in this bill?
Yeah.
And the answer is
yes.
Yes, there is, to get us where we want to go.
That's a wonderful story, and a
wonderful
story that answers that question. Yeah.
On climate change, on pre-K, on child tax breaks. It's all in there. Yeah. It's not everything you would want. Sure. Maybe you would want it to be blue. Sure. Maybe you would want a little bit more over here or over there, but I'm with you.
I would have loved for it to be blue. It's okay. It's okay. As long as the tires are inflated and the pedals work, then, let's get there. Let's get there together.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's going to be a historically big bill. It's not as big as we wanted or hoped that it was going to be. But it'll be a big Christmas present, a big holiday present, Hanukkah present, Kwanzaa present, it'll be for every family in America in a way that it's historically big. And I'm proud to be able to work on this bill. I've been in Congress for some time, but a bill of this magnitude in terms of all of the good that it can do, it's just a special privilege to be able to sit in the Senate and work on these individual provisions.
It's a privilege to have you doing it. So thank
you.
you.
Do you have a favorite holiday memory?
Well, I grew up watching A Christmas Story, and I really wanted that. I wanted the Red Ryder BB gun so badly, and of course, they said, "I'll just shoot your eye out." So I got musical instruments instead, and that changed my life. I'm so glad. And I did the very same thing about a drum set. I wanted to play the drums, even though my voice is somewhat classical. I like playing rock drums, and I wanted to be in a rock band so badly. And I did the same thing. I wrote, not even double spaced, single spaced. I really wrote a very, very nice essay about why every drum was important and how every tom told a story. Just very much over the top. I really laid it on thick. But I tell you, that drum set that I got that year, didn't get it the first year, didn't get the second year, third year, finally got it. I played that drum set every day after school. And that drum set was the only drum set I ever had for, I've had it almost 25 years. I just this year decided to donate it to my previous music high school and pay it back to where I started. But I got a lot of mileage out of it. To anybody who's watching, who's thinking of gifts for your kids, think of an artistic gift. You never know when they're gonna figure something out and figure out where they want to go. It's a great way to invest.
Unless you're somebody like me with my musical ability, give them a bicycle.
Okay? I think somebody send the good senator a karaoke microphone with excellent reverb, with the reverb I'm using tonight. And listen, sky's the limit. I'll produce your first album.
So I think we're going to have a civilian climate corps. We're going to have a green bank. We're going to have green energy. I'm dreaming of a green Christmas.
A green Christmas. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? I hope that's true. I got to say, growing up in Los Angeles, the way I knew that Christmas was on its way is that was the time when all the lawns in my neighborhood got fertilized. And so we didn't get snow in Los Angeles. We just got the smell of manure around December 5th. And so every time I smelled cow manure, I went, oh, Santa's on his way. Smell is a very emotional, nostalgic thing. And for whatever reason, now when I smell fertilizer, I think of Christmas. Probably not the story you were hoping for tonight, but say lovey.
So do we have what song
do a Christmas
sing?
Song. Oh, I'm going to sing a song called Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. It's one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time. It always gets me in the Christmas spirit, Christmas mood. And as you will hear, there is a full 60-piece orchestra behind these walls that's going to accompany me, give my piano fingers a rest. And so I hope you enjoy. Feel free to sing along, Ed, if you feel like it.
Yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, your troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, your troubles will be miles away. Here we are, golden days, happy golden gather near to us once more. Through the years we all be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Together, if the fates allow, hang a shining star upon the highest bough. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Merry Christmas now.
Oh. Speaking for everybody else, wow. It's a wow.
Thank you so much.
What a gift. Can you talk a little bit, Josh? I think people would love to know where this came from. Where did you come from? What's your story?
Well, Jack and Lindy Groban, who are watching now, I thank them for what I assume was a romantic night sometime in May. That count? Yeah. So I was a kid that, like, as I mentioned earlier, I was a shy kid who was having a little bit of a difficult time in school, and I was shy about my voice. I knew I loved music. I was so grateful that my parents would take me to see shows. They would take my brother Chris and I to go and see anything that was coming through town. And I was very fortunate for that. When I wasn't able to see something live, I would watch, television channels like PBS. We would be sitting on the floor and watching great performances and musical theater and opera and all those. It was educational. It was edutainment, as I call it. And so, I knew I wanted to do it. I'd lock myself in my bedroom and I'd sing along to these songs. But it wasn't until I had those teachers that pulled me out of my shell and gave me those opportunities. And then, I was only 16 years old when David Foster discovered me. He heard me on a cassette, and he was doing a charity event. And he said, "Hey, who's that kid? I need him for something." Somebody else pulled out. "Give me a student that'll do it for free." I was that student. And the rest is history. He kept calling me. So, I had to be a kind of a student and a professional at the same time for those earlier years, for sure.
Yeah. And so can you tell that story of being 17 years old and
Sure.
Celine Dion? Can you just tell that story for people?
I had just done that charity event that he found my tape and wanted me to do. And then about 2 weeks later, he says, I'm at the Grammy Awards. Celine is here. I wrote the song. It's nominated. It's called The Prayer. It's for Celine Dion and Andrea Bocelli. Celine is here. Andrea is stuck in Munich or somewhere. He can't get here in the time we need for rehearsal. So, hey, you were good that day. Why don't you come by and sing it with Celine until Andrea gets here? And I'm going, I said no. I actually said no because, again, I didn't have stars in my eyes. I thought I was going to go into theater, so I didn't see the experience. I didn't see the open door for what it was right in front of me. And I said, he's a tenor. I'm a baritone. I just don't feel like it's the right fit. But I hope you get somebody great. And thank you so much for thinking of me. And I remember my parents saying, what did he say? Oh, he wanted me to come to the Grammys to sing with Celine. Well, what did you tell him? And I said, of course I told him I'm not the right voice for that. But thank you so much. My parents were like, huh? Oh, you told him no. Thankfully, I wouldn't be sitting here right now if David Foster hadn't called me back and said, I don't know if you heard me correctly or if you had a bad signal on your phone, but your butt is going to be at the Shrine Auditorium at 3:00 and I'll see you there. Click. And, thankfully he saw the error in my judgment and pushed me out there. And Celine couldn't have been nicer and got to sing the song many times. Andrea did just show up just in time. The producer at the time was saying, buy a suit. And I'm going, I can't, no, not ready for that. Thank you. And he did show up. He did obviously brilliantly. And then full circle, 10 years later, I got to sing that song with Bocelli on the Grammys in front of an actual audience, which was really, really fun.
Incredible.
So it's been an incredible ride ever since then.
Yeah. So your mother and father, they were there right at the get-go, knowing and pushing you, huh?
Well, they were.
American.
I had such a supportive home life with them. They could not have been more supportive. Every time I had an inspiration for something, they'd make sure I had that album to listen to or an instrument that I was interested in. They'd make sure I had exposure. It's why the foundation work is so important to me, because I recognize that I was one of the very, very, very lucky ones to be able to have that kind of support. And so it was a mission of mine, thanks to the fans who gave me an incredible donation on stage one night and said, hey, start your foundation. Let this be your first donation.
Beautiful.
And I was so inspired by that. But, it really felt like a call to action to make sure that young people who've not been so lucky to have that kind of support, both in their home lives and in schools, especially in the inner cities around this country, that they get that spark when they feel like, I want to try this. They've got that instrument in front of them, or they've got that play in front of them, or that teacher that tells them to push. Because I wouldn't be here if I didn't have the push. And so many kids don't have that same privilege to be able to have that push. And so at Find Your Light, we want to make sure that they get that push.
Yeah, there's no two ways about it. My mother was one of 5 sisters, but it was an Irish immigrant family. And my grandmother died when my mother was 17. So although she was senior class president in high school, she had to take care of all of her younger sisters growing up. Yep. So then I come along, I'm the oldest now of hers. So when she was disappointed in me, my mother would say, Eddie, your father and I, we're going to donate your brain to Harvard Medical School as a completely unused human organ. You have to, come on, work harder. Come on, you can do it.
I see where you get your sense of humor.
And when I ran for the Senate, I went up to where my father grew up. He was one of 5 children on the first floor of a triple-decker up in Lawrence, Massachusetts, a blue-collar community then and still today. And I rang the doorbell to see who lives on the first floor of the triple-decker at 88 Phillip Street in Lawrence today. And out onto the porch came a Dominican family with their children. And the accents were different, but the aspirations clearly the same for the Dominican family as for the Markeys.
Yeah.
My father's son is a United States Senator. Who had that on the scoreboard? Wow. So your foundation, it's trying to unlock the potential.
It's trying to unlock. It's trying to flip on the light bulb in places that these young people would never even expect it, to learn the language of the arts that they never thought was possible for them. And, when you see the look on their faces when they first get that chance to do it, and it's not just the inspiration, it changes everything. The studies, the numbers are on our side. It's so fun to see that it's helping in math and science and English and also just, you got kids that have so much energy pent up, and through no fault of their own, they have that energy and that negative, that dark insecurity, and it can come out in behavioral issues. It can come out in joining gangs. It can come out in all kinds of ways. We're on the tip of that fence where they could go one way or the other. And just the simplicity of having that ability to just reach people in a way they never thought was possible through the arts, it takes them to the right side of the fence. And that's the coolest thing to see.
And I agree with you. I was a commuter to Boston College, a commuter to Boston College Law School. My brothers were too, just going home every night, going to college, going to law school. When I got elected to Congress, when I flew down, that was my first visit to Washington. I had never been there before. So I'm like 30 years old. I'm getting on a plane to fly to Washington, D.C. to be sworn in, and I've never even been there before.
Wow.
And so I think you and I are the perfect examples of a dream being made possible.
That's right.
You know, because of the opportunities which the country provides for us, and the push, you know, from our families and the help from our friends as well.
And I understand fully. I mean, we're living in a country right now where many of those dreams, many of the things that you're talking about when it comes to climate change and social justice and equality and all of the amazing things you push for, you're on the front lines. You are on the floor trying to get those dreams to become a reality, and it can feel impossible. You know, it can feel like it's something that is out of our reach to so many of us until it gets done. And yes, that is a segue. But it's also,
I will say this.
What I was going to say, even regardless of if I had this song to sing right now, I want you to know
if we get this bill passed, and that's why I'm working so hard for it. It's going to give so many people in our country an ability to reach their dreams. Okay, but they need help. They're heroes, but heroes need help.
That's right.
And we got it. And you and I know impossible dreams can come true.
We surely do.
And your foundation fights for it every day. That's what I try to do.
And so do you.
The United States Senate.
So do you. Well, I am so privileged to be in your corner, Senator, and to shout to the rooftops everything that you are accomplishing and trying to accomplish in your day-to-day grind that I was lucky enough to see firsthand. By the way, for anybody watching, there's nobody cooler on the Senate floor than Senator Ed Markey. Walks in, and there's a hush on the floor. And when he gives that thumbs up or thumbs down, but the day I was there, we got some thumbs up. It's a very cool thing to witness. You're a man who commands respect and does not demand it, and it's an honor to call you my friend. So thank you so much for having me and for the great work you do. Would you like me to segue into this song?
If we could talk about the dreams.
Let's do that.
Every family, that would be so great.
Well, I want to dedicate this to you, and I want to dedicate this song to that dream, and to hopefully how many dreams will become much more possible with the passing of that bill and with the great work you're doing going forward. And this is called Impossible Dream.
To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, and to run where the brave dare not go, to ride the unrideable wrong, and to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for that heavenly cause. And I know that I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. will be better for this than one man scorned and covered with scars, still strong with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable, the unreachable, the unreachable star.
Oh. Just breathtaking, breathtaking.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Senator. Let's hear it for
And,
this brilliant orchestra that was playing behind me.
It's
So
just
wonderful. You can break now. You can have dinner, guys. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
So thank you so much. You know, your biggest fan, I know your mother and father are watching, but your biggest fan is here. Susan, can you come over here for a second, please?
Oh, let me say
Susan?
hi to the good doctor.
Can you come over for a second? Yeah, please. Susan is just your absolute biggest fan. Sit
Well,
down
the
here for a
feeling
second
is
here,
mutual.
Susan.
Hey, Josh.
Don't tell Ed, but I'm your biggest fan too.
You're so inspiring. Thank you. You really,
You are. It's just been so wonderful getting to know you both, and you guys are a dream team. And just thank you so much for the great work that you do, and for being so supportive of the arts education as well, and for letting me be a part of your team. It's always been a great privilege, and so much fun to join you again tonight.
Thank you. Well, Josh, you inspire us. You make us fight harder so that everyone can realize their American dream. And if there was a Mount Rushmore for musicians, you'd be on it. We are so grateful to you.
I better shave.
And we're so grateful to everyone who joined us tonight for their friendship and support. We wish everyone happy holidays and many blessings in this new year. Josh, thank you for putting us in the spirit and for all that you do for arts education. And
thank you so much.
To lift and make our spirits soar.
It's my pleasure, and as I said to both of you, keep fighting the good fight. Wishing everybody watching a wonderful holiday and safe and prosperous New Year. And thank you so much for supporting by watching tonight. Susan, Senator, thank you so much for
thank you. A great honor, my friends. Really, just a privilege to.
Until next time, I'll see you on the road.
Okay, we'll see you.
I'll see you in the studio when we make that album.
And for everyone out there, I'm gonna fight for all of you to get those bills passed this year.
Thank you.
It's gonna happen. We're gonna make it happen.
We're behind you.
It's good. The impossible dream will come true. Thank you all so much. Thank you, John.
Holidays.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.